Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Bronwyn Liber, and with me tonight is Genevieve Richardson, the Outreach Officer for the club rowing team. Jenny, thank you so much for coming and joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get into this. First, can you kind of walk me through what exactly the club crew team does and what y'all do as a program?
So we are a rowing team. We practice all year round, 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 to 10 on Saturdays. So we compete in the fall on 6K races, pretty regionally, and mainly Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia is probably as far as we get, and then train all winter and compete again in the spring for sprint season.
Dang, okay, so wait, can you kind of walk me through what a race day may look for y'all? Like traveling there, the before, the during, the after, as maybe someone who's never been in person to watch a crew race?
Yeah, sure. So usually we leave Friday evening, afternoon. We stay at host houses, so people, families of the team generously host our team and provide a lot of good food and a place to sleep. And we get up super early Saturday morning, drive to the race course. A lot of unloading boats from our trailer because we transport them from here to the race.
Okay.
Making sure they're all set up right and ready to race. There'll be races from 8 a.m. usually to early in the afternoon. And then after we load back up the trailer and then come right back to campus, usually getting here around Saturday night. So it's kind of a down and back.
Okay, I don't think most people would consider this your typical everyday sport. So can you kind of give us your storyline of how you got involved?
Yeah, so I lived in England when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and they had a pretty popular rowing team there, and my dad actually really wanted me to get into it, and so I gave it a try, and I ended up loving it. My first high school I went to, North Carolina, didn't have a crew team, but my high school sophomore through senior year in New York, we rowed on the Hudson, and then I really wanted to do it in college, and Penn State was a perfect club atmosphere to get into.
Okay, so getting kind of back on track to y'all seasons, I think you guys have had a couple races so far, correct me if I'm wrong. How have those gone?
We've had two major races. One was a scrimmage at home where we practiced, Bald Eagle State Park. That was nice. We raced against just two schools, so just kind of getting into the swing of the season. But we raced in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago at Head of the Ohio, we got a lot of medals. All of our novice teams brought home some hardware, and we're looking to do the same this weekend in Philadelphia at Head of the Schuylkill.
Okay, and then what does that mean for the rest of y'all season? Is there I know some sports have playoffs, tournaments, or just kind of ends. What is the rest of y'all season looking like?
So after this weekend, we only have one more race in the fall.
Okay.
And then we'll get into winter training, which is everybody's favorite time.
Of course.
We mainly just lift weights and go. We practice in the weight building on the erg machines, and then we'll get back into racing once it warms up in the spring.
And is there a difference in importance of fall versus spring, or?
Well, there are different types of races. So in the fall, we race 6,000 meters typically, and then in the spring is shorter races, so 2Ks. So it's a sprint season. It's just a different style of race. We all line up at the same time, and it's not time-based. It's basically, it's just set up a little differently.
Do you have a personal preference?
I mean, 2Ks are nice because they're shorter, but they're a little harder just because it's all that effort just kind of squeezed into a really short amount of time. But I would say spring racing is my favorite.
And then, as we mentioned earlier, you're the outreach officer, correct? What exactly does that entail for the club?
So I manage all the social media, Instagram, Facebook. You guys can follow us at Penn State Crew.
Love it. Let's do it.
And then I reach out to people over the summer and throughout the year that want to join the club. We're pretty much open to all experience levels. We have a great novice coach, great women's coach, great men's coach. So we're really just looking to expand the team, rowers, coxswains, anything. So, yeah.
Now let's say someone does happen to go follow the social media, checks out, seems interested. How might they get involved or reach out?
So either DM the Instagram or on our website, there's GroupMe links, or our email is always open. There's recruitment forms. I try to stay on top of all those emails and get back to anybody that I can. But yeah, we're always looking for people. So I'm definitely on the lookout for people that want to join. It's a great sport.
I'm very excited to see how y'all's season goes. But honestly, you got to have a fun story time. You've been doing it for so long over the years. There's got to be a fun memory or maybe a fun fact someone who doesn't do the sport might not know. Anything you would like to share to the audience?
Off the top of my head, I just really enjoy race days. We got to go to Head of the Charles Regatta last year, which is one of the biggest regattas in the country, if not world. It's comparable to like Henley. which is the biggest like British regatta. It was just something like I've never seen. Rowing isn't the best spectator sport, so
Yeah,
I'm not
fair.
used to being watched and cheered for, but it was along the Charles River in Boston, and people line the bridges and all along the shorelines, and you're just getting cheered on the entire way, which is just something that doesn't happen a lot in the sport, and it just gives your race a lot more momentum when you hear people screaming at you the whole time. It makes you want to go faster.
Definitely nice to have some momentum for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So what exactly is the breakdown of the teams? And then I have a follow-up question that I'm kind of excited for. But first I want to kind of hear if y'all have different teams or anything.
Well, there's a men's team and a women's team,
Okay.
and then a novice squad. So our women's team, we race fours, and there's actually a pair this year. So there's 4 of us. It's in a Cox 4. And then the pair is just 2 people in the boat, one on one side, one on the other. The men, they're a little bit of a bigger team, so they can race 8s and 4s depending on what lineups are meshing best with what people in the boat. It's a lot about speed, but also boat chemistry.
Yeah.
So if you don't row well with others, you might need to switch up the lineup. And the novice are just kind of getting into it. We have a new novice coach this year that's doing great with just kind of matching people up, putting them in what lineups they can learn best in. So.
Okay, and then do any of these teams have any superstitions, or do you have any personal superstitions or anything you do before games or practices?
I would say I'm not a superstitious person. I do have some lucky socks I like to wear, but those are pretty much before test pieces on the rowing machines. I like to wear those for that. But otherwise, I know our novice coach rowed in undergrad, and her team had a superstition where they drank the lake water in every race that they raced in right before they started. But we race on the Schuylkill River, so
Yeah.
don't take part in that one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then, okay, yeah, very respectable. That's amazing. And then, honestly, do you guys? You were talking about those practices. How do you get up for them? I'm a morning person, but not that early. What do you do to get out of bed that early?
Yeah, I'm not a morning person, so you would think that this sport maybe wouldn't be the best for me. But honestly, it's hard to be closer to people than you are if you wake up at 6 a.m. and work out with them. That's why I think we have such a great team atmosphere. You get your workout over with before your day even starts, and it just builds big team bonding, and just you get close with people you sweat with at 6 a.m. So
Great mindset. Okay, my final question for the evening is, what are you looking to accomplish this season, or do you have any big personal goals?
As a team, obviously, we're just looking to improve every race, I think, is big for us because we're definitely a smaller program. So bringing home some medals every race is always ideal, but not always realistic. And so I think just definitely improving as a boat every single race throughout the team, all boats that compete, just getting as much time on the water as possible just to get stronger for the spring. And and just continue to do as best we can and keep on meshing and recruiting more people.
Well, I look forward to hearing how the rest of y'all's season goes, and I hope it's incredible. But thank you so much for coming on and joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And telling us just more about the club in general. Now stick around, because coming up next, Carly and Caitlin will have the latest news from across the nation.